Hey everybody, welcome to the Coffee Run Live. It is I, Nicola Morass, coming to you for episode 237. Happy Friday. Hope you are fantastic and amazing. I'm a little bit not very happy that my filter is not working. Let me just see if I can make it any better. Apparently not. That's really sad. And this one makes things, oh look, even that doesn't work. It's really weird. Okay. Anyway, we'll leave the filters alone. You guys will just have to put up with a red splotchy face this morning. So welcome. Really excited to host you. Today's episode is really something that is really close to my heart. It's something that I'm really passionate about. It's something that I have personally dealt with, been through, watched, listened, absorbed, been on the receiving end, been on the giving end of at various different times as well. And this is the way that we make sales. Now, unless you make sales, I'll just fix this Wi-Fi, unless you make an expensive hobby. So if you think about it, like the hobby that you have, if you're not making money, if you're not making sales, if you're not making offers, hey Jess, what this means is that you are spending your time, you're giving your time away for free. Hey Jess, good morning. And if you're not making offers out there, then you're never going to make any money, and you don't have a business, right? You just don't have a business, you have a charity. And if that's your intention, that's fine. But if you are wanting this to be your vehicle, your transformation vehicle, essentially, not where you can transform into a superhero, but maybe it is, we've got to be making sales. So I was chatting to a lady yesterday, and this is what really sparked my thinking about this. I want to give you guys, girls, ladies, women, kick-ass people, entrepreneurs, badass rock stars, gentlemen, fabulous people, whoever is watching or listening to the replay of this, I'm going to give you some hacks to helping your sales process go really smoothly. Now, one thing that I want you to consider is, we all need to make money. And I know it's really easy to sit there and go, oh, don't be hung up on the outcome and, just let it be. That there is an element of that. Hey, Joe, of course there is an element of that, because if you're going like, holy shit, if I don't make money, I can't pay my rent, I can't pay my bills, I can't pay my staff, I can't do this, I can't do that, then that air of desperation is actually going to come seeping through, okay? So we want to be really clear that whilst it's easy to say don't be hung up on the outcome, the thing that we want to do in any level of sales conversation, whether it's happening online, whether it's happening in person, whether it's happening on the phone, is we do really need to come into it from a sense of calmness and with a sense of trusting the process. All right, trusting the process and making sure that the process that you're using is something that you can feel as comfortable with as humanly possible. Now, there are going to be times where you're faced with having a conversation where you're just like, oh my God, I can just really help this person. I really help this person, if I just, and it might be almost like a little inkling that's like, if I just push that a little bit harder, I'll be able to get them in and then I can help them. Number one, it is not your job to save anyone, okay? Not your job. That responsibility is on the person that you're talking to. Okay, so it's their responsibility to say, yes, I absolutely really need some help. Yes, I'm ready to make this change. Yes, I'm ready to do this thing. So your job is just to see if they're ready to be able to commit, and if they're ready, willing, and able to be able to make that commitment for themselves, whether it's with you or whether it's with somebody else. I also believe that you don't have to be, and we'll talk about sales calls for a sec, because this is I've made millions of dollars on the phone. I know I've got plenty of clients who have made $1 million on the phone making sales, and more. And it is a strategy that does work, but it's got to be done in a way that feels okay for you. Okay. So I remember back in 2011 where I was really not very good at making money. That's not true. I was good at making money, but I hadn't really learned how to make lots of money yet. So I was running style events, I was running workshops, I was working around the country, and all of those clients came to me because of Facebook. I was posting on Facebook, I was running discovery sessions, which are also known as sales calls, obviously, naturally, and I'd hop on the phone with them and I would chat to them, and some people would buy and some people wouldn't. And I was like, there's got to be a better way, right? I wrote about this earlier in the week. There's got to be a better way. And usually if we're thinking that there's got to be a better way, there normally is. And I was just so green. So green. Even though I'd been making sales in corporate for years, it's very different, I think. It can be very different going from selling somebody else's stuff to you selling you and selling your stuff. It's a different kind of vibe, I think. So what I decided to do is I decided to invest in a mentor who would really help me with some sales and some refinements around marketing strategy. Because I thought, well, you know what, if there's something that I can refine, if there's something that I can learn, if there's something different that I can do, then you know what, I'd be crazy to not grab that and run with it. Because the more successful I can be, the more I can help my family, the more I don't have to go to work, right? So I learned this process, and it made me feel really uncomfortable, but I did it anyway. And it was more around, like, the first part of the process was particularly consultative. If somebody decided to say no, I know that there was a whole lot of value in that conversation before we even hopped off the phone. But where it started to get a little bit sticky, I suppose, was when it came time to, like, asking for money was no problem, but then it came into the dealing with people's objections. And I think this is where, and what I was reminded of yesterday, what happens, or what can happen, is that when people say, oh, look, I just don't have the money for this right now, or I've got to go and talk to my husband, or I've got to go talk to my wife, or just got to go check my calendar, or I've got to do this, I've got to check the time, I've got to check the dates, I've got, blah, 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 blah. A lot of the time, and the way that I was trained back at that point was to kind of go in and say, okay, well, tell me more about that, which I still agree with. But the way that some people would take on that process is that they would get really kind of aggressive, and they would almost browbeat people on the phone. I don't feel like I went that far. Maybe I did. I don't know. That wasn't my recollection, and I wasn't on the receiving end of these calls. But I know that a lot of the time we will make up, like humans, will make up bullshit excuses and reasons. Sometimes they're valid, but a lot of the time we will make up bullshit reasons and excuses for not doing something because A, we're scared, or B, we don't want to let the person that we're talking to down, right? So I know that for me, if I've spent an hour on the phone with someone and if I've made an offer to them, I know how much value has gone into that conversation. I know how much extra I'm giving them and everything like that than what they would normally have. But I also don't want them to be sitting there thinking like, oh my God, I've just spent an hour with this girl. Shit, I better give her $50,000. That's an extreme number. I'm just giving you a ballpark figure. So I guess like the thing that really reminded me of this was yesterday chatting to a lady, and she said, like, we've gone through our sales conversation, and I use a process now that I've developed where I've used all of these different types of, a load of different strategies. I've mushed them all together, and I do it. It's super laid back. Even when I really need the money, right? Even when my sales aren't potentially looking like what I want them to look like, my sales process is just so chilled out these days, and I think it's a really nice place to sit. So what this woman had said, she's like, oh, I had this experience like recently where she had a lady on the phone, and she was curious, like this lady I was talking to yesterday was curious about what this other person was doing. And she was saying that, the conversation was going okay. And then she said, look, I'm out and about. I'm going to have to go. I'd really love to pick up this conversation again tomorrow. They organized a time. They hopped back on the phone. And then she said, look, leave it with me. I'm going to go and have a look at it. And then this woman just sort of like flicked a switch and got really angry and got really aggressive with her. And I've just gone, wait, what? Like, I don't understand how anyone getting angry and aggressive with anyone on the other end of a phone is a helpful strategy in terms of selling your service, right? Could you imagine, like, if you're like, oh, Nicola, I'm really curious about how we could work together, and then I go through it, and then you say some things, which is not a no, but you might say, oh, look, I've got to go and do some stuff. Could you imagine me then saying, well, you mustn't really want this then, how hard is it to make a decision? This, if there was a, where there's a will, there's a way, how dare you check out on your dreams like this, rah, 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 rah. Could you imagine how you're going to feel? You're going to be sitting there going like, well, maybe there is some element of truth in that, but you know what, Nicola, fuck you. You're not going to want to sit and then go work out your information or work out your stuff and then come back to me. There's just no way. If I'm coming in like all guns blazing and berating you and making you feel like shit, then I think that is really the start of a pretty toxic relationship, right? Jess, I've been on a call like that. Yeah, you have. That's right. Recently we discussed this as well. It's interesting that this comes up again. And I'm just like, this is just crazy. This is ridiculous. I just don't understand how anyone thinks that is going to endear or warm anyone into working with you. But there is a line, right? So there is this line between going like rah, 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 and then there's the other side of things where if you just sit there and you're just like, yeah, okay, cool. If you're just kind of like checking out, and if you're not willing to find out like what's really going on, because sometimes we do make excuses. I mean, think about it. If you say to someone, look, I really wish I could learn how to do this. I'm really desperate to find some support. I'm really looking for some help in this area. And then you make an offer and then they're just kind of like, oh yeah, I've got to go and do this thing. Chances are they're likely really scared. So your job is to kind of try and tease that out of them, try and get them to admit that. The other thing is that some people are sitting on the other end of that phone, or the other end of a Facebook message, or the other end of a webinar, or the other end of a coffee chat, or anywhere that this might happen for you. And sometimes, they might be scared of taking the leap of doing the thing, but they also might be scared of saying no to you for how that might make you feel. Like they don't want to piss you off. They don't want to offend you. They don't want, like maybe they literally don't have the money. That does happen sometimes where people literally do not have the money, and they might have money, but maybe they've got to allocate it to other places and you just don't, with whatever it is that you've offered, you just don't fit into the mix. A no now does not necessarily mean a no for forever. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a no to your next thing. It doesn't mean that it's a no forever. It doesn't mean, fuck you, you're dead to me, right? It just means that for now, it's a no. But some people are really scared about saying no to you. And I would say that probably 70%, based on my experience and what I've heard and the training and the stats that I've looked at, 70% of people fall into a behavioral style where they don't want to piss you off. They don't want to offend you. They deeply care about the way that they make people feel. All right. These people are typically nurturers or carers and teachers and healers and things like that. And they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, right? So they don't really want to say no to you. So sometimes they'll make up some reasons which may or may not be true, but really to just kind of get off the phone or terminate the call or just get the hell out of Dodge so that they can then not offend you. But then they're the people that will actually like fall off the face of the planet. They won't speak to you. They won't answer your calls. They probably won't answer emails. They just like, until they're really, really, really ready to come back, if they're really ready to come back. But if you go in and being an aggressive asshole, they're not going to come back to you. They'll just be like, okay, thank you. Yep, that sounds really great. Look, send me some more information. Or look, I'll just go check my bank account and I'll come back to you. Or I'll just go do this. I need to talk to my husband. La 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 la. And then you're chopped off at the knees. There's no coming back from that with those kinds of people. So what we want to do, right? So we've established the problems. We know that a lot of people are scared. We know that a lot of scared of leaping, and a lot of people are scared of saying no to you because they don't want to piss you off. Some people also just need a little bit longer to process the information and to process the offer. Some people do want to go and just kind of digest what's going on. Now, not everybody, but a lot of people will be in that. Some people, many people will be in that position. So if you're like, well, that's just, what kind of information do you need to digest? Rah, 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 rah. Don't ask it in that way. Say, okay, cool, that sounds great. You can take all the time you need. I'm curious, what other things do you think you need to research around? How else can I provide you with some answers to help you? What other things do you think would come up? What questions would your husband ask? What questions would your wife ask? If you had the time in your schedule, is this something that you'd be doing? And then I'd always, with people, if they give you a deferral objection, which is usually they need to go do something before they make a decision, then you could ask some questions along the lines of things being like, what kinds of questions will your people ask? I would also say, look, if this fits, is this something that you want to do? Because if it's not, that's totally fine. And what I actually say is something along the lines of this. You know what? If this isn't something that you want to do, that is totally okay. I promise you, I won't be offended. I know that I can help you. I would really love to help you, but I want you to be as certain as you can. I really want you to be a hell yes, Nicola. Hell yes. There is not a doubt in my body that you are the person to help me. I am beyond excited about this, but you know what? Just right now, it's a no for me. And that's totally cool. I'd rather you say no to me now than you hop off this phone call feeling like you can't say no, feeling like you're going to offend me, feeling like we've spent all of this time on the phone talking, going back and forth, and you feel like you can't say no due to some, sense of obligation. It's okay. You can say no and you can come back at any time. And if this is something that I've got on offer, then we can do that then. Now, by doing that, you're giving them permission to say no to you. I would always much prefer someone saying thanks but no than someone saying, oh, yeah, I'll come back. And I actually say this to people because if they say, yeah, no, this is something that I just need to go work out the finer details on. And then they go, all right, give me a call tomorrow because I normally time frame it. And then I'll try and call them tomorrow and they literally fall off the face of they don't literally fall off the face of the planet because that would be not cool. But they don't answer their calls, they don't answer their emails, they don't answer Facebook messages, I send them texts, they don't do that. And then I turn into a weird ass stalker person because you've given me that little hint, that carrot that, yeah, totally, let's chat tomorrow. So then I turn into this relentless, positive person who is just so excited about trying to help you and things like that. And that's literally what happens. And then after about a week of trying to chase these people, I've wasted all my time. They're feeling really shit because they're dodging calls and not answering calls and, dodging emails and text messages. So they're feeling shit. I'm feeling shit. We're all just feeling shit. There is not a sale to be made there. Right? It's not going to happen. So I'd rather someone says no to me and then comes back in a few weeks and says, oh, you know what, actually things have changed. I'm back in. Yeah. Or they say, yes, this is fantastic. Let's go. Obviously that's a better scenario is that someone says yes. So what I wanted to talk to you about today, obviously was that's pretty obvious. And I'm just trying to be able to make a comment in the live underneath the video here on my screen and it's not working very well. So just give me 2 seconds because I want to give you a very brief overview of what I would be using. So what I want you to do is always make sure that you're setting an agenda. Now you can do this even if you're selling by a Facebook Messenger, even if you're selling via a post, if you're selling via email, anything like that. You know, it's like, this is what, it's pretty much like, this is what we're going through. If you've got questions, let me know, okay? The big thing here is that we need to establish a gap. Now, I spoke about this in the live stream, I think yesterday, where I was talking about, yeah, we might be our niche, but we're not our niche right now. So stop basing your social media strategy on who you are right now and how you use social media. Because that people are often, you know, they're behind us. So they might have a whole lot more time than what we do. They might be doing things a lot differently to the way that you do. They're actively looking for inspiration, motivation, training, education, entertainment. They're sitting on social media, probably spending far too much time on social media doing the things that they're doing. So we need to be able, even if you're busy, we need to have things that are going up there, inspiring, motivating, educating, entertaining them in order to bring them through. So we've created a gap, okay? So in a sales call or in a Facebook post or in an email or in an offer, we need to establish a gap. So the way that we do that is we want to find out what their issues are, struggles, what their pain points are is what often gets used, right? So, you know, you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, you just don't know how to make money online, you're feeling a bit lonely, like it's really freaking lonely working from home being an entrepreneur. Well, it can be. I think it is. Like, I really find it some days, I'm like, man, I just, you know, let's do a Facebook Live because I want to hop on, right? So find out what the struggles are. That's one way of establishing a gap. And then, one way of establishing the first point. And then find out what their goals, dreams, desires, aspirations are, okay? And then once you've got that, you can say, look, you know, if you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed and you really want clarity, you want financial freedom, you want to be able to make money, then this is the thing this is how I can help you, right? You bridge that gap. If you imagine that we've got a Grand Canyon sized gap and they're sitting over here in left-hand camp over here in a dire straits, they need help, they're dying of thirst, and you've got the water over here and you're like, it's okay, I can give you some water, we'll not be thirsty anymore. We've got to bridge the gap, right? So your program, your offer, your one-on-one, your event, your whatever has to be able to show that bridge and how they can get over and get the water. So work out what that is. And then it comes time to going, okay, well, you know, how do we make this work? So then you investigate the solution, make an offer, right? So make an offer, which would be a program or whatever, and then say, this is how you can buy. Now at that point, this is where we this is where we can go, okay, so, you know, what questions have you got for me? Things like that. Now, there are 2 magic questions that I want to give you. 2 magic questions that I want to give you at some point for you to throw in to your messaging, like in terms of if you're directing people over to Messenger, then ask this in Messenger. If you're on the phone with people, ask this reasonably early on in the conversation, okay? If you are, if you're having a coffee chat with someone, like I would almost do this before you even go into I don't do coffee meetings, but you might. But you would always ask these questions, ideally early on in the piece. If you're making sales via a live stream, so like my Business Badassery Mastermind, if you're not in yet, you freaking should be, FYI. But, you know, there's something that you want to be really clear on, and something that I want you to be really clear on is, well, why Nicola? Like, why should I buy from Nicola? And am I a hell yes that I should buy from Nicola? Insert your name in here. So you want to know from these people, like, why me? Why do you think I am the right and the best person to help you get that water right now? Okay, and then they can answer that question either in their head or they can tell you. If you're on a phone conversation, Ask them. Say, I'm curious, like, why me? Why do you think I'm the right person to help you with this? And if they say, well, I don't really know that you are and I'm really not sure, hit that fucking eject button and get off the phone. Not like just like, oh, okay, sorry, I've got to go, goodbye, because then you're being an asshole, right? No, we don't do that. We say, oh, okay, cool, that's really interesting. All right. So here's what I'd suggest that you do. Go over to my Facebook page, go to LinkedIn, go to Instagram, go to my website, watch my live streams, read my blogs, read my posts. I want you to feel like it's an energy thing. I want you to feel that I am a hell yes. This is exactly the person. I don't know how you're going to help me yet, but I just know that I need you. Right? And that's really the place that we want to get our people into being. So if they're not there yet, that's okay. It doesn't mean that they won't be. It doesn't mean that they will necessarily be either. But just give them permission to say, hey, go do some more research on me. And if you're not quite sure yet, then that's okay. That's totally fine. Just go and check me out. And if and when you're ready, and when you feel like that you are a hell yes, that I'm the right person for you, then just reach on out and we can go from there. So why me? And then the other magic question is why now? So in a world where we've got all of this information at our fingertips, in a world where we can plot and plan within an inch of our lives, we've got all of this, we've got this ability to and access of information that we can say, oh yeah, like why now? Well, you know what? I've got all of this stuff. I want to go do this first and do that first and rah, rah, rah. If they don't have any sense of urgency that they need to do something about this now, then there's no sale to be made. Because what will happen is if they say to you, oh, well, look, I just don't know that I really need this help right now. I'm not really sure like of where I'm at. It shifts the energy and almost like that stance to where you then have to, like, well, you don't have to, but sometimes we can feel like we have to convince the other person that they must buy now and buy from you, right? And so then we've got this force being applied, this pressure being applied inadvertently or intentionally, and then what happens when we push something? That other thing gets pushed away, right? So I would very much be saying, so like, why me, which we've discussed, and why now? They say, oh, look, this is it. Like, I probably don't really need to do anything about this now. Okay, cool. That's awesome. You know what? You go work out when you think it's going to be the right time. You're very welcome to take all the time that you need. If and when you're ready, reach back out. You know where to find me. I'm not going anywhere. And really, I'm really happy to have a conversation with you about how we can make this work together, okay? So it's like we just kind of pull back, because every single person who has ever received, particularly on the phone, we have these people call us and they say, hey, is that the blah, 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 is that blah, rah, rah? Oh, I just want to talk to you about your solar heating, or, and all of a sudden, right from the get-go, it's ram, push, buy my shit. What do you mean you don't need a solar panel? Of course you need a solar panel. Everybody needs a solar panel. I've already got solar panels. That's okay. You need more. Fuck off. We've got to stop with this pushing, because as soon as we push, as soon as we apply any amount of that kind of pressure where we feel like, or they feel like we're trying to convince them, they run for the freaking hills, and they've got this aversion to it because everyone is trying to sell them. Everyone is trying to sell them. And really, and trying to convince them that their way is the best way, that their program is the best program, that their solar panels are the best fucking solar panels. And honestly, anyone who has done any level of sales training, if that's the way that you're making sales, yeah, it can work, but it's exhausting, it's tiring, it will lead to clawbacks, it leads to refund requests, it leads to complaints to the Office of Business and Consumer Affairs or Fair Trading. It creates so many freaking issues. It is just not even funny. So just don't do it, okay? If they say to you, when you ask these magic questions, why me? And they just start saying things like, well, you know what? I've been following you for ages. I love the way that you do this. You know, I see you doing this. I don't necessarily think I can do it that way, but I like this. Or I want this and you know, this type of thing. And I see your confidence and your sense of style and your amazingness. And, you know, and I'm just so drawn in and captivated by what you're doing. You know, it has to be you. It was just a feeling, right? And then you've got that why now. When they say, oh, like if I don't do something about this, when am I going to do something? If I don't do something about this now, then I know that that's another month down, there's another 2 months down, then it's the end of the year, and then we're in 2020, and then we're in 2021, and I will still be stuck in the same motherfucking position that I'm in right now. I have to do something about this now, because if I don't do it now, I'm probably never going to fucking do it, right? So what happens when they do that, and you get these answers to those questions earlier on in a conversation, then when you go through and you're making an offer, if they say to you, oh, look, you know, the timing's not right, or I don't have the time, you can kind of say very graciously, you say, oh, okay, cool. I'm a little bit confused. You say that you don't have the time or that the timing's not quite right. But before you said, you know, that if you don't do something about this now, that nothing's going to change and that you're going to be really stuck. You know, did I get that wrong? And then they'll say whatever it is that they say. So it gives you a reference point to come back to and to gently and graciously and elegantly call them out on their shit, right? Without being an aggressive asshole about it. And they might turn around and say, look, you know what? I know that the timing is never right. And I know that I said that if I don't do something about this now, then, you know, nothing's ever going to happen. But honestly, you know, if it's okay, if I can level with you, I really just don't have the money. Like my husband will kill me. My wife will kill me. I just can't find that money to be able to do the thing that you're offering. So what your job then would be to say is like, okay, cool. Well, you know what? If this is something that you really want to do, but it's not something that you want to do now, then it's okay to say no to me. I'm not going to be offended. I'm not going to be pissed off. If things change and you come back, that's totally fine. You know, but I just want to be really clear, because a lot of people will say these types of things, and it's mainly because they're scared of saying no. So, you know, how does that sit? Where do you feel you are? And they will usually at that point, they'll just open up and they will just tell you all of the things. And they'll tell you about their fears that are going on. And one of two things will happen. They'll either say, you know what, I really am full of my own shit and I actually really do need to do this. So, oh my God, fuck it, I'm in. Or they'll say, you know what, I really can't do this right now and it's a no for me at the moment. Okay, cool. That's fine. Either way, it's an okay, cool. That is awesome. You know, congratulations on making a decision. No matter which happens, I know that you are going to have you're going to have a way forward. You know now what the next step is going to be. And then they might come back later, or they may not come back later, but you have not sat there and rammed your shit down someone else's throat trying to convince them that the timing is right and that the time is now. And that if they really want it, they will go and find that fucking money and they will beg, borrow, steal, barter, you know, grind, whatever that they have to do in order to be able to find it and make it. You know, I don't know. There are some elements of, you know, if you really want it, you'll find a way to make things work. And I do actually genuinely believe that also comes down to a personal choice of the person on the other end, and they've got to be able to make that decision. You can't force them into doing shit. You can't convince them to do anything like that. So that's my little sermon on that today. I really wanted to share with you the process though, and those two magic questions, because that can really help elegantly preempt some objections that you might get. Jess, I've had salespeople rock up to my door and say, we're offering roller shutters, and literally right next to where they were standing was a roller shutter. They said, we see you already have them. Yeah, so fuck off. Dog barks and woke the baby. Ugh, that's annoying. Yeah, like, people use a brain. Just use your brain. It's really, it's annoying. So The best piece of advice that I can give you is to, if you're entering into a sales conversation, if you're writing your sales pages, if you're writing your sales posts, if you're writing your sales emails, if you're having sales conversations, if you're running webinars, if you're selling from stage, if you're having coffee conversations, anything like that, before you step into those environments, I want you to ask yourself some questions. What would be a really great experience for me if I was on the receiving end? So question. What would be a really great experience for me if I was on the other end of this scenario? How do I like to be sold to? That's a really important question. How do I want the person on the other end of the call to feel? Okay. So there's a few guiding questions in there. What would be a really great experience for me if I was on the other side of that scenario? How do I like to be sold to? And number 3, how do I want the person on the other end of the call / coffee chat / event / whatever, you can insert your thing in there. How do I want them to feel? How would I want to feel? How do I want them to feel? And then, just make sure that you're going through and asking those other questions and following that process that I've given you in there, because it's a really empowering place for you and also for them, because we're empowering them to say a very hell yes, or you know what, thanks and no. All right, there you go, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you have an amazing day. If you are not in the Business Badassery Mastermind, and if you felt a bit lonely, right, working on your own, if you're looking for some motivation, inspiration, and clarity because you're just not quite sure how to make this online shizzle work, or maybe you're even just in a place where it's like, I need a little bit more motivation. Might get a bit stuck. Maybe you procrastinate. Maybe you get a bit overwhelmed and just really generally feel a bit stuck with knowing what to do, where to go, how to move next. And if you think that you're a hell yes, Nicola, I really love the way that you do things, then you can come and hang out with me in the Business Badassery Mastermind. It is half off at the moment. So as a founder, you can come in for half price at the moment. So jump in on that. There is all of the information on that page in there, and we've got the most amazing topics that are coming up for you. We've got our first live class training next Wednesday. Of course, it's recorded and you get to keep it forever. And we're also launching out 30 days of the $1 Million Success meditations, visualizations, and journal hacks, so you can be the queen of the motherfucking internet on the coming up next week as well. So jump in there. That's being added in as a bonus. Jump in there if you've got any questions about it, if you're not sure if it's the right thing for you or whatever, that's cool. Just let me know. I'm happy to answer anything as always. Meanwhile, have an amazing day. Have a great weekend. We are celebrating my oldest daughter's 18th birthday tomorrow. Oh my God, I don't even know how that happened. It makes me want to vomit. I am incredibly proud of her, but far out, freaking 18. 18 blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind. I remember that moment when I brought her home. Crazy ridiculous. So meanwhile, you guys have a great weekend. We're going to have a great weekend. I can't wait to chat with you on Monday. Get yourself in the mastermind. It's going to be a blast. All right, everybody, take care. Bye.